primer bloque. Vamos a partir con Bob Dai, quien es Managing Director de exportación de frutas y productos frescos de Shenzhen Trend Agricapital Company, China. Adelante, Bob.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and good morning to myself. My name is Bob Dai. I'm the assistant manager from Shenzhen Trend Agricapital Company Limited in China. And I'm very happy and honored to be here and invited by the organizer from the Anime Committee to do a brief introduction of Chinese cherries informations. Probably, the international cherry entrepreneurs and technicians and scientists do not know much about Chinese cherries, and today I'm going to let you guys know better. So let's just get started. But before we actually get into the content, I would like to wish every one of us stay safe, stay strong and healthy in this very crucial point of time in human history due to the virus, so that after this, we can make greater contributions to the agricultural communications. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first I'm going to introduce the cherry history in China. Cherries were first brought into China in the 19th century. The exact year was 1871. In Yantai city of Shandong Province was the first area to produce the fruit. I'm going to show you guys the exact location later. 140 years later, cherry growing areas had spread across the whole country with 3.0 million mu. Mu is actually a unit in Chinese calculation, which equals like 200,000 hectares of cherry orchards, producing a wide variety of cherries, including Brooks, Bing, Sweetheart, Rainier, and Lapin. The total harvest is about 1.12 million tons. Like that makes China one of the largest producers of cherries in quantity and acreage. And at the same time, China is also the largest importing country of cherries because of the large population. Last year, China imported 186,000 tons of cherries from Chile and other countries. The total value of imported cherries rounded up to $1.3 billion. Now we can see from this production list, which is from the atlasbig.com, we can see that China, even though not on the list, has an amazing number of 1.12 million tons in the quantity of production, which almost equal to the total amount of Turkey, USA, Iran, and Chile. But considering the size of the population, after calculation, we know that the production per person in kg in China is around, in kilogram is around 0.8, and which is similar to that of United States, but much lower than that of Turkey and Chile. And the average production per hectare is around 5.6, which is also lower than the top three candidates in this chart. Okay, this one is from the China's Agriculture Big Data Center, but it doesn't really have an English version. So I'm just gonna show you guys that the unit we're measuring is in per 10,000 metric tons. And as you can see from the year 2013, we have a basic production of domestic cherry production of 543,000 tons. And we do have a steady growth rate of around 10% in each year. And by the year 2019, we do have almost doubled the quantity of production. And these are the major areas of production that produces cherries. And the very big province, Shandong Province, on the ranking the first in the chart, almost equals the rest three's production, the number 2, number 3, and number 4, which I'm going to show you later too. And It follows like this chart. First, you can see Shandong Province. It locates in the east part of China, opposite to Korea and Japan. In this region, and the climate there is warm with good humidity and stable day and night temperature differences, causing cherries to maintain a good quality of growth as well as sweetness guaranteed. And secondly, we can see Shanxi Province right in the heart of China. And the place that it locates is what we call the Yellow Earth Highlands, whereby the climate is much drier than that around the sea, so that the sweetness of the species is higher than though slightly higher than those at Bay areas on an average basis. And ranking the third, we have Liaoning Province, which is also quite close to Shandong. Across the sea, it's opposite to Shandong with only a distance of 150 kilometers away. And there is only one concentrated area of cherry growth. I'm going to show you later too. And number four is Henan Province. It's quite close to Shanxi, and it's one of the new regions in China that grows cherries in recent years. Uh, First, we can see Shandong. Okay, Shandong Province is the largest cherry production in China with numbers that you can see like this. And among the whole province, Yantai is the most famous, not only because it's the first place that where cherries are introduced in the 19th century, but also it has one of the finest packing houses and human labor organizations and grading schemes in China. Yantai's climate and soil conditions are very suitable for producing all seasons species like early, middle, and late harvest varieties. And secondly, we have Shanxi Province, as seen from the picture. Cherry orchards have developed rapidly in recent years. The orchards are located in these three places: Tongchuan, Baoji, and Xi'an. Okay, and the irrigation of this area is formed by the second largest river in China. Is the Yellow River, so it is quite plenty, and because of the transportation issues, is going to supply major cherry markets in the northwest part of China and southwest part of China. Yeah. Thirdly, we have Liaoning Province. It's located on the opposite of the Bohai Bay, sorry, which is the inner base of this area. This is the Bohai Bay, so that the climate of the Dalian city is quite similar to that of the Yantai city. And Dalian's cherries come onto the market earliest because of the temperature. It's actually slightly colder. Starting March every year, we do have the wormhouse species. And now this is a short video clip of the cherry orchards in Yantai City. Let's take a look at it. Okay, and these are some photos of overviews of cherry orchards also in Yantai City, as we can see from the picture. The worm houses, the roads are very clean and neatly designed with transparency on the top so that the sunshine is plenty. And yeah, there's a giant water reservoir there so that the water supply is maintained. Mm, anyway, the cherries industry in Shandong is one of the best in the country. And these are some inside photos of cherry orchards, cherry warmhouses. As we can see in the middle of the picture is one of the lower bush species. It's what we call the red light species. I'm going to introduce you further details of it later. And there are also like sustaining. Okay, let's see. These are the videos of the packing houses. I'm gonna click on the video clip right now. It's a combination of human labor and automatic machines, all designed, both designed and manufactured in China domestically. Let's take a look. Okay, cherries of different sizes will be poured onto the transmission light, and human hands will be trying to make them even so that it's easier to be sorted. Oops, sorry, something goes wrong. Okay, now I'm gonna introduce the main varieties of Chinese cherries on the market. First is the red light variety, what we call the Hongdeng in Chinese. It was first hybridized with Napoleon cherry and the yellow jade cherry, which also belongs to the Napoleon cherry family. It's an early variety with rigid pulp, plentiful juices. It's yellowish red in color, not that dark. It has a sweet taste. The average single weight is 9.6 grams with a max weight of 18 grams in very good conditions. And secondly, we have the American Dawn. It has this name because it was first introduced from the USA in the 1970s. And it belongs to the early to middle variety. Oh, sorry. And it's deeper compared to the red light. It's deeper in color. It has a harder pulp. So these two qualities make it more suitable for long distance transportations so that it can reach to remoter markets. And thirdly, we have the red agate. It's one of our local variety. Comparing to the previous two, it has a bigger size with a longer stem, and it has a steady and good yield each and every year with a sweeter taste. But in China, maybe consumers prefer not only the sweeter taste cherries, but also the cherries with what we call cherry flavors. So different types will have their different customers too. Now we're talking about cherry nursing plants. Now, first we're going to talk about the high altitude layering method. Mm, how do we do that? Well, we just choose branches that are more than 2 years old, peel them in a ring shape at the lower part, and then we try to destroy the phloem of this part and promote the roots of the cambium above the part. And then we put the velvet grass in a transparent plastic bag and put the whole wrap around the wound and tie up the upper and lower ends. And after rooting, you just cut below the layer position and the potted plant becomes a new plant. This method is quite good anyway, but even though it's easy, the final effect it varies among the varieties. Secondly, we have the grafting, which also called the budding method. Like budding method, generally in early June, we take 5 or 6 full buds in the middle of the strong branches, and we use them to cut off the buds from the scion. The teeth of the bud should be large, about 25 centimeters long and about 1 centimeter wide, so as to increase the contact surface formed by the root stock and a graft and increase the survival rate of grafting. After connecting, tie them tightly with plastic film and untie them after 20 days. Okay, now we're gonna show you 4 common types of cherry trimming during winter times in China. First is the natural clump shape. It is a common tree shapes of Chinese cherry. It does have 5 to 6 main branches, which expand and grow around. With each one has 3 to 4 side branches. After the main branch senescence, we use the sprouting tillers to renew and cut. The angle of the tree shape is relatively open. As you can see, it grows to places all around, and the result is early. But the inside of the canopy is easy to close. And secondly, we have the natural heart shape. It's mostly used for sweet cherries. The stem height is 30 to 40 centimeters. The whole tree has 3 main branches. You can see with branch angle is 30 degrees each in between. The central stem is initially retained, and after 4 or 5 years of planting, the central stem is removed to form a happy shape. The kind of tree shape is easy to reshape and with small amount of pruning needed. Opening canopy is one of its good quality, and the ventilation is good, transmission is light, and fruiting is early. The yield is also quite high. Now we see the Y shape. As you can see, it's one of the lower species of cherries, and it really does look like an alphabet Y. This tree shape runs north-south in orientation, with 2 main branches symmetrical on both sides of each plant. A support frame must be set up during shaping. This tree shape has good ventilation and light transmission, early flowering and fruiting too, and it's also suitable for dense planting, convenient management, and good fruit quality. Last but not least, we have sparsely layered main trunk shape. Um, it's higher in dry height, like 40 to 60 centimeters, with a bigger central trunk. Um, it has usually 6 to 7 main branches, which are scattered on the central stem in 3 to 4 layers. The first layer has 3 main branches, the second layer has 2 main branches, and third and fourth has 1 main branch each. And, and each main branch is equipped with 2 to 4 side branches. The branch group is cultivated on the backbone branches at all levels. And now we see how we do the pruning. Okay, first, before the first winter, we do the trunk setting. And as we can see, we can do the trunk setting by cutting off the very top part to set the length. And then we will do what we call uh, a butt touching in Chinese, or we call a round cutting, which means that we can use a steel saw or a small knife to cut off on the surface of the trunk. And after the first and second winter, which is these two pictures, is going to be like this, with the main branches horizontally leveled like this. Okay. And for the sparsely layered main trunk shape formation, it's going to be like this. We're going to keep 70 to 90 centimeters as the first, okay, for pre-planting. And then after the trunk setting, we'll see how the sprouting, how the bud goes. And when the new sprout goes to a length of around 10 centimeters, we're going to trying to push and pull and do some pressing, so that the angle of opening will be embedded to be steady. And then for the first and to second years, it's going to be like this, similar to first picture. And for the third year, for those on the lower layers with the angles that are trying to go up and disturb the upper layers, we just cut them off like this. And the fourth year, we do similar things too to the upper layers. And in the fifth year, it's going to be like this. Okay, now we can see some common diseases and pests in Chinese cherry industry. First, we have the nodule disease. And as we all know, it's caused by bacterial infection, which forms tumors on the roots of the plant. The disease area formed a gray-white tumor, and the internal issue was very soft. The tissue was very soft. The surface was rough, and the tumor gradually increased. The surface gradually changed from white to brown in color, as shown here. Okay, the surface cells will die and the internal lignified and the shape was almost spherical or oblate, making the root system stunted growth, like weakened growth or even just dead and, and then shortening the age of the tree. Okay, to prevent this one, we just use some common solutions, just by international industries by, yeah. And secondly, we have brown spot perforation. It does harm the leaves, new shoots, and fruits. In the first 10 days of May, the infected leaves were distributed with neurotic reddish-brown spots, which then enlarged to 4 to 5 millimeters in diameter for each hole, and the central part become light brown. The combined lesions form large dead areas, causing early leaf defoliation. Then. And lastly, we have the parrot heartworm, also known as peach leafworm and parrot fruit moth. It damages fruits and new shoots with larvae, and the adult body is gray-brown, dull. The eggs is flat oval. The center is slightly raised, yellow-white, translucent, lucent, and shiny. The mature larva is yellow, white, or pink, and the head is yellow brown. And this parrot heartworm does not only harm cherries but also other fruits as well. And in China, we do have a combination of solutions by both human labor and chemical solutions too. And that comes to our short introduction of Chinese cherry background knowledge. I'm Bob Dai, the assistant manager representing Shenzhen Trend Agri Capital Company Limited. If you do have any other queries, please just send me an email to my personal email at qq.com, or can just send it to information@trendagricapital.com too. And thank you for your time and patience in listening to me in this morning. And again, I wish that all of you guys can stay safe, strong, and healthy in this point of time. We wish you to approach you further in the future. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
Ahora quiero invitar a Max Chen, manager de la empresa familiar Beijing Yidu Yongyu Fruits and Vegetables Co., empresa que se dedica principalmente a la compra de cerezas chilenas, donde hoy compran más de 550 contenedores en la temporada. La visión y el objetivo de la empresa es ser el recibidor profesional, eficiente, honesto, fiel y visionero para los proveedores chilenos en China. Ellos abastecen a los supermercados de Guangzhou y Shanghái. Adelante, Max.
Hola, amigos chilenos. Me llamo Max Chen. Trabajo en una familia de mi familia que se llama Beijing Yidu Yongyu Fruits and Vegetables Company Limited. Hoy día voy a dar una presentación pequeña sobre las ideas nuestras de las expectativas nuestras mercado chino en las cerezas chilenas. Post-coronavirus, los chinos en general tienen menos ingresos, pero valoran mucho más a la salud y la calidad de vida. Las cerezas chilenas son considerables, saludables, ricas y high-end en China. Seguirán ser la fruta con muy alta demanda en China. Históricamente, cuando el precio de jumbo de los 5 kilos en wholesale market bajaba a 230 a 250 yuanes, se activaba el gran volumen de venta, nivel de 300 contenedores o más diariamente en todo el país. 200 yuanes por 5 kilos, precios del mercado equivalería a 290 a 340 yuanes en retail. Ese nivel de precio podría activar fuerte el deseo de compra. Cuando el precio está muy alto, los consumidores preferirían comprar otras frutas con mejor precio-calidad. Pese a los impactos del coronavirus, la eficiencia de pasar la aduana china para los contenedores de cerezas chilenas se espera la misma de la temporada pasada. Sin embargo, los exportadores y los recibidores tendrían que ser muy rigurosos con los documentos y minimizar el riesgo que la fruta fuera contagiada. China tiene una red de logístico muy bien desarrollado y cada año va mejorando aún. Las carreteras, los trenes de alta velocidad y los aviones funcionan muy bien y son capaces de satisfacer las necesidades de mover los viajeros y las mercancías en todas partes del país. Aunque las ventas de frutas online cada año juega un rol más importante para los consumidores, la gran mayoría de los chinos todavía prefieren comprar cerezas y otras frutas en tiendas físicas. Es importante poder ver, tocar y probar la fruta, porque es la mejor manera de asegurar la frescura y el sabor. Los wholesale markets seguirán ser el lugar más importante de distribuir las cerezas chilenas porque permite eficiencia alta de mover volúmenes y lograr precios relativamente justos para los proveedores y los clientes. Los tipos de embalajes adecuados para China serían 5 kilos granel, 2,5 kilos por 2 caja máster y 2,5 kilos caja individual. Estos embalajes podrían satisfacer bien a las necesidades de los clientes chinos. Las ganadoras de frutas en China serán las frutas ricas, saludables, bonitas, de buena calidad y accesibles de precios a consumidores finales. Algunas frutas ya lograron gran éxitos en China. Entre ellas están las cerezas chilenas, las sweet grapes y las crimsons peruanas, las manzanas New Zealand Cream, las Mercock marca 2PH de Australia, las Silis negras de India, por los bajos gastos laborales, la cercanía de distancia a China y los buenos precios logrados en China. Necesitamos desde el lado de nuestros proveedores de cerezas buena calidad y buen sabor, consistencia de calidad y oferta consistente de volúmenes, gastos o MGs razonables y las confianzas que permiten una ganar-ganar situación. Los proveedores y los recibidores trabajan como un solo equipo. Desarrollar bien otros países como Malasia, Singapur, Taiwán, Tailandia, Indonesia, Filipinas, Brasil, Estados Unidos, etc. Eso va a ayudar a bajar las dificultades en China de mover la gran mayoría de los volúmenes y lograr buenos retornos. Los productores y los exportadores tienen que ser bien financiados. Si no, podría generar problemas de calidad de frutas, incluso en el peor caso, juicios con los clientes recibidores. Viceversa. La fuerza y las faltas de mi mercado principal, Guangzhou, muy desarrollado en logístico. La aduana está muy eficiente. Buenas carreteras, agencias logísticas profesionales con miles de camiones y choferes. Y muy desarrollada de clientes de mayoristas y minoristas de todas partes del país. Se encuentran acá todas frutas distintas que se importan a China de muchos otros países. Cosas por mejorar. Espacios en el mercado. La eficiencia de los contenedores de entrar y salir del mercado. Un sistema que ayuda a minimizar los riesgos de no poder recuperar las platas de algunas ventas. Top 5 threats. 1. Rebrotes de coronavirus. En el peor caso, los mercados de frutas estuvieran cerrados. 2. Las cerezas chilenas dependen demasiado en el mercado chino. 3. El aumento muy agresivo de superficie plantada. Cómo se mantiene una buena imagen como cereza de buena calidad y de buen sabor. Cómo se siguen ser una empresa rentable para los exportadores y los recibidores. 4. Posibles sequías futuras en zona de producción y aumentos de gastos de producción. 5. Vivimos en un mundo de muchos conflictos y incertidumbres, posibles guerras de distintas formas o crisis económica que afectaría mucho a los ingresos de las gentes en China y otros países que son importantes para las cerezas chilenas. Top 5 Opportunity. El Año Nuevo chino genera la demanda muy alta en las cerezas chilenas. Chile y China han tenido relaciones muy buenas políticamente y entre los dos pueblos. Las cerezas chilenas en general son de buena calidad y de buen sabor y disfrutan los barcos rápidos de 22 días. La economía china está recuperando con un GDP de crecimiento positivo desde el abril de 2020. China ha sido la segunda economía más grande del mundo y sus GDPs se espera sobrepasar el de Estados Unidos en el futuro cercano. Muchos chinos aún no tienen el hábito de consumir las cerezas chilenas. Durante el octubre y 2 semanas post Año Nuevo chino y el fin de marzo, el mercado chino está básicamente vacío. Si los productores chilenos logran ofrecer cerezas a China en estos días, atraerían retornos muy atractivos. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Max. Ahora revisaremos el mercado en Estados Unidos a través de Randy Ecker, General Manager de Star Ranch, con sede en Rotterdam. Son una de las principales empresas en proporcionar cerezas frescas a inicios de año desde Matagua, Washington, y más tarde en la temporada desde Odell, Oregon. Como uno de los principales productores y exportadores de cerezas dulces del noroeste, Star Ranch Growers mueve alrededor de 2,5 millones de cajas de la fruta cada año. Adelante, Randy.
Good morning. I'm Randy Eckert. I'm with Star Ranch Growers in Washington State. We currently ship about 3.5 million boxes of cherries every season. That is a 20-pound equivalent. So I guess the questions asked to me were, one of them was, what is the immediate effect of the pandemic to our cherries? To be honest with you, going into this season, in May, we were very scared. We didn't know what was going to happen because everybody was locked down at home. No one was shopping. In our experience, the biggest difference in cherries between Chile and the United States is the United States, we have the domestic retailers in the domestic markets as our backbone. 70% of what we grow and pack goes domestically. We were scared to the fact that what we've seen in chain stores in America is cherries are an impulse buy. If an average shopper is going to the supermarket to buy milk, to buy eggs, to buy meat, to buy bread, if cherries are there and they look good, they will buy them. That's an impulse buy. We were very scared because no one was going out and going shopping. Everybody was ordering their food, getting delivered to their house. They were scared to go into a supermarket. They were scared to be around anyone. So we were very nervous on how that would look and how that would affect our cherry season. To be honest with you, it had the absolute reverse effect. We found we couldn't supply them fast enough. People, whether it was because of the health benefits from it, the vitamins, the whatever you want to call it, fruit in general, we had a very tough time supplying our customers to the point where most of our customers worldwide, not just domestically, but worldwide, got very upset with us within the first 4 weeks because we did not have enough fruit to supply the pipeline. I think we piggybacked off the California season. California had a very good season. They had a very good product this year, which helped. When we can transition into our cherries, which were also very good this year, it created a void. There was nothing else to promote domestically. There was no berries, there were no corn, there was nothing to compete with cherries. To that effect, we struggled to supply cherries, which ultimately in my position is a good thing. That means you can raise the price. And that means the growers can actually make some good money, which this season, if the growers actually had a crop and they picked a decent sized crop, they actually made money this year, which was very good. Because if our growers are healthy, we're healthy. And that's how we look at it. As far as logistics and whatnot, we didn't have a problem with logistics. We didn't have enough cherries to supply everybody. So plenty of trucks, plenty of containers, plenty of air shots. There was never really a lack of space for us to go anywhere. There was a lack of cherries to fill that space, but logistics were fine. Okay, next question is the changes in packaging, changes in logistics. For us, the main thing that's changed, I guess, domestically, nothing's changed on the export piece for us. Everything for us is either in a 5 kilo or a 20-pound loose box. Domestically, what we've seen, and again, I've been doing this for 30 plus years, so I've seen some changes over the years quite a bit. We've gone from loose pack to bags to clamshells, and now we're getting away from clamshells because we have some major customers, i.e. Costco, Walmart, Sam's Club, everybody we do business with. The clamshells are becoming a problem because of the plastic. It is not biodegradable. So what we're running into more and more is going to what we call a top seal, which is a package. You basically put the fruit in it, put a seal over the top. You pull that seal back and there's nothing that's touched the fruit. There's nothing that touches anything, which consumers view as much safer, much cleaner. In this pandemic era that we live in, it makes it a lot safer for people to buy that. I mean, I personally will go buy tomatoes in a top seal before I'll buy tomatoes in a bag or in a clamshell. Clamshells have holes in them, and top seals, it's sealed. It's safe. that's the biggest change in packaging, I would tell you. Logistics-wise, nothing's changed. We are still very heavy to air shots to Asia for cherries. We do a lot of ocean also, but domestically, all trucks, plenty of trucks, not a problem. We didn't see a shortage at all this year. You see in the changing in the consumers, predominantly here in the States, to be honest with you, is what we just talked about. People are very much into how safe their fruit is handled from the orchard to their table, and they want to make sure that the practices are in place to take care of that fruit. Predominantly, they like things packaged. They don't want them out in the open necessarily. They don't want people to be able to breathe on them, touch them, however you want to look at it. I.e., like we talked about before, is the top seal package has really gained a lot of ground this year. I can remember when we introduced clamshells up here, and we fought it because we didn't like the clamshell from the packing side. But I would be honest with you, probably 80% of what we packed to certain chain stores is clamshells up to this year. I would tell you that this top seal package is really going to take off, and it's going to be the way of the future. Till somebody comes up with a better idea. It changes every 2 or 3 years. It's just a matter of who invents what, and they present it to us, and we got to go buy the machines to make it work. That's pretty much it. I would tell you that would cover the food safety questions. We going into the COVID season, we went out as an industry and pushed the health benefits of cherries. There are a lot of health benefits in cherries. If you do the research on it and you know exactly what that means, we sent a lot of that out as a company. We sent a lot of that out as an industry. Not knowing how much COVID would affect our business this year, and it worked. I'm not saying that was the key, but it sure helped because, like I said, we could not supply the pipeline this year. It was a very good year for us. Cherries are very healthy. People have that perception, and it's very true. From what I've seen, to be honest with you, cherries are still, to our customers, one of the few seasonal fruits that we can supply them. We can supply them apples year round. We can supply them pears year round. Cherries for us, for all intents and purposes, are 3 months out of the year that we can supply them. People know that. They get in, they love them, and they take them until we're done. Worldwide, clearly, obviously, when Chile is shipping cherries, we're not, and vice versa. I think in general, the world can see that window shrinking as far as cherries being seasonal, because if you really are in Asia or other parts of the world, you can buy cherries pretty close to year round anymore if you really follow it and you pursue it. But for us, predominantly the domestic market again, I would tell you that it is very seasonal, and people look forward to it in the summer. They perceive summer as cherries. We have a very, very, 4th of July is a very big push for us up here. People typically will buy a lot of cherries, and we promote a lot of cherries through that weekend. What do we need from suppliers? What are we missing from your side, cherries from Chile? Here's what I would tell you. Doing this for 30 plus years, like I've said before, we were very isolated for a long time. We kept things separate, but I would tell you that we're all pretty much joined at the hip anymore. Chilean growers and growers here in the States follow a lot of the same practices. We learn from your growers learn from our growers. We actually have a Chilean company that has come up every year for the last 4 or 5 years. They actually lease our packing line from us, and they pack fruit up here. So it's becoming a coexistence, I guess, no other way to put it. We don't, as a company, dabble in the Chilean cherry piece. We're going to. It's coming. I think we've got customers worldwide that are going to demand that of us. We have some very good connections down there. We do a lot of imports on apples, So it is going to be a natural procession for us, I think, moving forward. Okay, next question for me was how we see the future. The future is bright for cherries in general. We have not saturated the market yet. Like I've said multiple times in this presentation, we grow a lot of cherries up here in the Northwest. Between California and the Northwest, we grow a lot of cherries. Chile has got a lot of cherries planted, and every year are growing substantially. I don't think we've saturated the world market yet. I think there's still plenty of places out there that we can present and take good quality cherries. That's the key with cherries. It doesn't matter how beautiful they are. It matters how they eat. If a consumer goes into the supermarket and buys cherries, it's not unlike grapes. It's not unlike oranges. If my wife goes to Costco and buys grapes, we take them home, we enjoy them. Next time she goes back to Costco, she's going to buy those grapes again. If she buys grapes, brings them home, we don't enjoy them, she might try it one more time. But if we don't enjoy the experience, we won't buy grapes again until there's something different. Cherries sell themselves. Cherries, in a year where they don't eat well, that's when people like me have to go to work. When cherries eat well and they present themselves well and people come back and they enjoy the experience, they take care of themselves. We just have to navigate that boat at that point. So I think the future is bright on cherries. I think you're going to continue to see growers plant cherries in both hemispheres. I think they can make money on them, clearly. And I think it is a product that we will find that wall. I don't know what that is. I don't know. We will saturate it, as we do with everything. Okay, next one for me is the key top cherry threats and top 5 opportunities post-COVID. I'm sorry. We kind of touched on it through the rest of this. I think opportunity-wise, we're finding different avenues to present cherries to the consumer. We have to be safer. They have to be in a package that people are comfortable taking home and giving to their kids, giving to their loved ones. That is a goal we all have to face, and we have to pay attention to it because it's very real. COVID has changed the world. It's the world, whatever normal was, I don't know that we'll ever get back to it. And cherries, luckily, like we said before, there are a lot of benefits with cherries. There are a lot of health benefits with cherries. I think if we stick to that and we stick to our guns and tell the world that this is what we have. It's a great fruit. It's a great piece of vitamins, whatever, everything. We preach that to the world, and everybody knows and realizes that it's very true, and we push that as hard as we can. We're excited about it. It's again, the world's changed. There's nothing we can do about it. We just have to do the best we can, and luckily, we are dealing with a product that in our world, we never did shut down because we're deemed essential. Packing fruit, supplying fruit to the supermarkets, people have to eat. And we're lucky enough to be in an industry that we didn't feel the COVID deal as hard as other industries did. We didn't have to shut down. It's affected us, don't get me wrong. We feel it, but it is, we're very lucky to be in the industry we're in.
Muchas gracias, Randy. A continuación, dejo con ustedes a Nina Viljoen, de Sudáfrica. Ella es economista agraria de la Universidad Stellenbosch. Trabaja hace más de 7 años en Orgro, donde está a cargo de la unidad de análisis de datos de censos de árboles, cifras y mercados de exportación, estimaciones de cultivos de la industria y presupuestos anuales de cultivo, como también estudios de viabilidad. Orgro es una organización para la promoción de cultivos para frutas de pepita y hueso en Sudáfrica, que incluye cerezas. Cubre una amplia gama de funciones de la industria para permitir a los productores producir de manera rentable, competitiva y poder atender cualquier mercado de su elección. Estas funciones incluyen investigación y desarrollo, mejoramiento y certificación de plantas y desarrollo de cultivares, desarrollo comercial y de mercado, transformación, información de la industria y cuestiones logísticas, y entre otras cosas. Orgro se financia mediante gravámenes por parte de los productores. Adelante, Nina.
Good day, I am Nina Fayum from Hortgrow and I represent the South Africa cherry industry, and thank you for this opportunity to present our industry overview. South Africa is a small cherry industry compared to the world players. Cherries are climatic adapted and has a high chilling requirement. Thus, it cannot be cultivated just anywhere. Traditionally, the Free State was the biggest area in South Africa, but now the Western Cape is about 65% of where all our cherries are cultivated. The Northwest Province has seen a gradual increase year on year, although the Western Cape remains the biggest area for all cherries planted. Cerezas, which is a town just about 200 kilometers from Cape Town, represents 50% of all cherries planted in South Africa. SA only has a handful of growers, about 23, and they farm on 32 farming units. Every year, the South African Cherry Association, which is also a voluntary association, conducts a producer survey regarding production volumes. This past year, 100% of known total plantings participated in the survey. About 624 tons was recorded, of which 63% went into the local market, exports 23%, and processing 7%. Over the past 5 years, hectares have increased by almost 100%. The majority is in the Western Cape and Northwest Province. Currently, about 470 hectares has been planted, which is about a 21% increase year on year. As in the case with any other fruit type, new cultivars are developed, as well as more climate-adapted cultivars. Historically, South Africa's biggest plantings was Bing, as well as giant Heidelfinger and early sweets, and Royal Dawn. However, if we look at the picture at this stage, Royal Hazel represents 14%, Royal Lynn 8%, Royal Dawn 8%, and then Lapins at 6%. When we look at the orchard age distribution, 45% of all plantings is between 0 and 2 years, and 65% is not yet in full production. One can say that the industry is in a healthy position. Typically, you would want your plantings to be in the bracket of 0 to 2 years at 10%. That would indicate that a re-establishment and/or expansion is taking place. The cultivars marked in green are the ones which is newly planted and not yet in full production. They will contribute to increased future production. Bing, Sweetheart, and Napoleon, as well as Mini Royal, are currently the cultivars driving production. The past 3 seasons, production was around 620 tons. Although young orchards came into production, the weather played a critical role. Cherries are very sensitive to climatic conditions, and due to the past 3 years, we had a very warmer spring alongside a drought of about 4 years. The production was negatively impacted. One could say that the young orchards helped to buffer the greater impact that both the warmer spring and the drought had. Year on year, exports decreased by 9%. Comparing week-on-week volumes, we exported slightly more at the beginning of the season. South Africa has a very short export window, only about 10 weeks. South Africa is first in the market, more or less from week 40 to 45, and that is when Chile and Argentina also enters the market. The UK is South Africa's biggest export market destination, representing 54%, followed by Europe and Russia at 20%, and then the Middle East at 18%. Local sales, which is the municipal markets, this means it excludes retailers and wholesalers, had a decrease of 53% year on year. Once again, we can look at the graph and see our exporting or our supply window is very small, only from week 40 to almost week 3. Taking a look at the Southern Hemisphere, from the Southern Hemisphere perspective, which includes Argentina, Chile, and South Africa, South Africa represents less than 1% of total exports coming from the Southern Hemisphere. From 2018-2019 to 2019-20, the Southern Hemisphere increased by 27%. This was mostly an increase on Chile's side. The majority of Southern Hemisphere exports is to markets which is not traditionally South African export market destinations. In the graph, one can see that 92% of all Southern Hemisphere exports went into Far Eastern Asia. Then USA and Canada, followed by South America. All three of those markets aren't traditionally South Africa's export markets. When we look at the South African market share trend, over the past 7 seasons, volumes have increased by almost 200%, from just about 55 tons to 163 tons. Looking at the markets, traditionally one can see again, South Africa exports mostly to the United Kingdom, as well as to Europe and Russia. It has only been the past few seasons that percentage-wise, the Middle East has also increased. According to trade maps, Chile is the world's biggest exporter of cherries, representing 34%, followed by Hong Kong, Turkey, and then Spain. And the USA, of course. However, South Africa is at number 34, which is 0.1% of total world exports. So it just goes to show how tiny we really are. South Africa may be a small global player, but we are a well-organized and well-structured industry with very good grower participation. Investment into the industry, development of climate-adapted cultivars will help to ensure that the industry keeps on growing from strength to strength. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Nina. Para finalizar, invitamos a Mónica Tierno, de España, directora general de la agrupación de cooperativas Valle del Jerte, de Extremadura, España. Con solo 28 años, ocupa el cargo de máxima responsabilidad de la agrupación. La cooperativa factura más de 50 millones de euros al año. Esta agrupación se concentra en el cultivo y producción de cerezas. Adelante, Mónica.
Hola, bueno, en primer lugar agradecer la invitación. Soy Mónica Tierno Díaz, directora general de la agrupación de cooperativas Valle del Jerte. Somos la empresa cooperativa mayores productores de Europa. Producimos en torno a los 17 millones de kilos de cereza de media. y vengo a contaros un poquito cómo ha afectado la pandemia a lo que ha sido la temporada de cereza española, ¿vale? Es importante entender que esta temporada no ha venido solo marcada por la pandemia, sino también por una climatología bastante atípica que ha hecho que el global de la producción de España, no solo la nuestra, sino también del resto de productores de España, hayamos visto mermada la producción esperada en torno al 50%. Y eso también ha afectado mucho al desarrollo de los diferentes impactos que vamos a tratar en esta presentación. ¿Cuáles fueron los factores claves e inmediatos que nos afectaron? Bueno, en España se declaró el estado de alarma el 14 de marzo, con lo cual ahí todavía no habíamos empezado la temporada, puesto que nosotros solemos empezar entre mediados y finales de abril. Fue un momento de mucha confusión, puesto que veíamos la campaña muy próxima y empezaron a surgir preguntas de cómo íbamos a abordar esta temporada con el poco tiempo de margen que teníamos, ¿no? En primer lugar, una de las mayores preguntas que nos hacíamos es la amenaza que suponía la disponibilidad de trabajadores y cosecheros de temporada, puesto que muchos de estos trabajadores proceden de Europa del Este o del norte de África y las restricciones a la movilidad eran muy extremas en todos los países, ¿vale? En España también era el caso, con lo cual había muchas dudas de cómo de viable era la recolección. Sí es cierto que aquí, en la zona en la que nosotros trabajamos, en el Valle del Jerte, la mayoría de la mano de obra es familiar y la contratada, digamos, es auxiliar, con lo cual no veíamos en riesgo completo la recolección, pero sí pensábamos que podía afectarnos, quizás no al 100%, pero sí teníamos dudas de que nos afectara un poco a lo que era el desarrollo normal de una campaña. Otra duda que nos generaba es que ante la incertidumbre que todos teníamos en nuestro día a día, era cómo íbamos a trabajar también en las centrales. Nosotros en la agrupación de cooperativas de Valle del Jerte, en plena campaña, podemos llegar a tener hasta 1000 personas dentro del almacén de empaque. Con lo cual, sí echamos de menos en su momento pautas concretas de cómo trabajar y tuvimos que nosotros desarrollar y también con otras industrias agroalimentarias que sí que estaban ya en campaña, ver un poco qué es lo que se estaba haciendo y qué es lo que considerábamos que era lo óptimo para garantizar tanto la seguridad alimentaria como la seguridad de todo el personal implicado, desde campo hasta central, hasta la logística, y minimizar, obviamente, el riesgo de expansión del COVID. Otra de las dudas que nos generaba eran los patrones de consumo. En el momento en el que se declaró el estado de alarma, en España solo se podía salir a hacer la compra y a trabajar siempre que fuera un sector esencial. La agricultura no hemos parado de trabajar, puesto que obviamente es un sector esencial, pero sí que las personas cambiaron sus patrones de consumo, puesto que la mayoría o la media del ciudadano hacía una compra una vez a la semana. La cereza, que al final pertenece a uno de los productos agrícolas con una vida perecedera mayor, se veía de alguna forma amenazada por este cambio en los patrones, puesto que cuando una persona realiza una compra a la semana, sí que de productos no perecederos puede adquirir un mayor volumen, pero de productos perecederos, por lo general, la compra era de volúmenes más pequeños. Con lo cual, teníamos también incertidumbre de cómo iba a afectar eso al ritmo de consumo de nuestra producción. Y por último, obviamente, uno de los factores inmediatos que tuvimos fue el incremento de costes, pues tuvimos que afrontar primero todo el material de protección para los trabajadores, que no fue fácil porque cuando estalló la pandemia en Europa hubo una limitación absoluta en el tema del material, incluso a nivel sanitario, con lo cual tuvimos que movernos para intentar aprovisionarnos de material para toda la campaña y para todos nuestros trabajadores. Al mismo tiempo, tuvimos que aplicar protocolos de desinfección, a nivel de logística, garantizar a los camioneros que tenían su espacio, y toda esta diferente manera de trabajar se tradujo en un incremento de los costes directos. de la misma forma que la logística, al haber restricción entre algunos de los países y al haber dejado de funcionar algunos de los sectores, por ejemplo, la logística sí que tuvo un coste directo en el incremento del coste logístico, puesto que los camiones muchas veces no podían venir de vuelta del país al que se los enviaba con carga para hacerlo obviamente más económicamente optimizado. Dentro de los patrones de consumo, los cambios, algunas de las tendencias o cambios que hemos notado, por una parte, es el tema de los envases, puesto que los envases veíamos viendo que en los últimos años estábamos transicionando o estaba aumentando la petición de formatos a granel, con una disminución del plástico, pero en el tema de la pandemia eso ha hecho también que haya cambiado. Hemos notado un incremento en pedidos de empaquetado en formatos pequeños, en lugar de fruta a granel, puesto que al final la cereza es un fruto que no se pela, a diferencia de otros, y notábamos que la gente tenía un poco de reserva al hecho de consumir la cereza de esa forma. También hemos notado un incremento de la demanda de la petición de compra de cerezas online, pero no obstante, no sabemos si ha sido algo puntual o ha sido algo que ha venido para quedarse. Entendemos que en el tema de los formatos ya estábamos trabajando mucho en la innovación de alternativas sostenibles al plástico. Ahora, por el efecto directo de la pandemia, vemos que se ha retrocedido y se ha vuelto al plástico, pero trabajamos con nuestros proveedores para seguir desarrollando envases sostenibles que permitan esa seguridad alimentaria que ahora mismo nos proporciona el plástico, pero con materiales que sean más sostenibles con el medio ambiente. En el tema de las ventas online, seguimos de cerca el desarrollo que tiene en países como puede ser China, donde el e-commerce cada vez se está posicionando como un sector más importante. Aquí en Europa todavía no es el caso. Hemos visto esa pequeña demanda, pero creo que también la pandemia nos ha hecho conscientes de que ahí todavía queda mucho por hacer y es muy importante que en productos como la cereza sigamos trabajando y optimizando la cadena de frío, el mantenimiento de la cadena de frío en este tipo de canales de venta para poder asegurar que el consumidor recibe la fruta en la mejor de las calidades. Y ahí todavía a nivel Europa y específicamente en España todavía hay bastante posibilidad de mejora. ¿Cuáles son las amenazas y oportunidades que ha puesto de relieve la pandemia? Pues las amenazas para el sector de la cereza y para la mayoría de sectores son las incertidumbres que tenemos respecto a cómo van a evolucionar las medidas de contención. La campaña de este año ha coincidido en un paréntesis en el que la mayoría de medidas han sido un poco más relajadas, puesto que en mayo, por las inclemencias climáticas, que era cuando todavía había medidas más restrictivas, las inclemencias climáticas hicieron que la campaña prácticamente se interrumpiera. Sin embargo, en junio, que es donde donde se ha desarrollado la mayoría de la temporada en España este año, las medidas han sido las más relajadas desde que comenzó la pandemia. Sin embargo, no sabemos la evolución, no sabemos si cuando lleguemos de nuevo a campaña vamos a seguir teniendo medidas que restrinjan la movilidad de las personas, que afecten a cómo y dónde hacer la compra. También preveemos una crisis económica europea que también nos supone o nos hace preguntarnos cómo va a reaccionar el consumidor, puesto que sabemos que la cereza al final es un producto que va muy asociado a un poder adquisitivo más alto, al placer de degustar un producto de temporada y muy específico y muy delicado, y tenemos que ver también cómo eso, con un poder adquisitivo general menor que lo que hemos tenido hasta ahora, cómo se comporta la demanda del producto, al mismo tiempo que vamos a seguir y somos conscientes de que el incremento de los costes de producción por todos los costes añadidos que la pandemia como nos hace trabajar, van a seguir incrementándose o van a ser más altos de lo que solían ser antes de la pandemia. Sin embargo, las crisis siempre son ventanas de oportunidad y creemos que al final esto también se traduce en que las crisis nos obligan a transformarnos. De hecho, todo el mundo entero hemos visto cómo ha cambiado nuestro día a día prácticamente de una semana a la otra y todos hemos encontrado o hemos intentado encontrar la manera de adaptarnos, con lo cual creo que eso va a ser una máxima del sector, donde vamos a tener que estar constantemente renovándonos, reciclando y siempre con la premisa de hacer llegar nuestro producto al consumidor y que sea rentable para los productores de la cereza. También es cierto que la agricultura, que en los últimos años había sido un sector un poco relegado o infravalorado, en un contexto de pandemia se ha visto la importancia al final que tiene, puesto que es un sector esencial y somos un sector que no hemos parado de trabajar desde el día 1 de pandemia y nuestro cometido es hacerle llegar productos saludables a los consumidores que tienen que cuidarse y protegerse en este contexto de pandemia. Y por último, el hecho, y ligado también a la innovación y la transformación, es fundamental que eso nos va a obligar a que en un contexto de pandemia tengamos que optimizar los procesos, tenemos que seguir garantizando la calidad y tenemos que ser muy competitivos para poderle hacer llegar ese producto al consumidor y que siga siendo un producto del que todos podamos, todos los involucrados en el sector podamos seguir sacando una rentabilidad. ¿Cuáles son nuestras perspectivas de futuro? Obviamente seguimos apostando por la calidad, creemos que ahora es más importante que nunca garantizar a nuestros clientes esa garantía de calidad de producto, de seguridad alimentaria. Creemos que es fundamental ganar la confianza en el cliente, que siga siendo fiel a nuestro producto, a nuestra marca, que sigamos siendo un sinónimo de calidad en su mente cuando piensa en cereza. La optimización, como decía, para seguir siendo competitivos y, como no, viendo los escenarios de cambio en el que estamos, la capacidad de respuesta. Tenemos que ser capaces de adaptarnos, responder a la demanda de nuestros clientes y, en función de los riesgos que se nos van planteando, poder adaptarnos y poder garantizar el suministro de nuestro producto. Y sin más, esto ha sido un pequeño resumen de lo que ha sido la campaña. El COVID finalmente, por haber tenido la mitad de la producción, pues ha hecho que digamos, hayamos regulado algunos de esos impactos que comentábamos, puesto que ha habido más demanda que oferta del producto y aunque había algunos canales de comercialización que se han visto perjudicados, como pueden haber sido todo el sector hostelería, restauración, que normalmente en España y en muchos de nuestros países europeos en los que comercializamos es un tiempo muy dinámico, donde son sectores que consumen mucho de nuestros productos, no estaban trabajando a pleno pulmón, pero al haber tenido una reducción de cosecha hemos, digamos, un poco amortiguado el impacto que eso podríamos haber tenido. Así que bueno, ahora sí tenemos de cara a la siguiente campaña ese tiempo para poder adaptarnos, la experiencia que hemos tenido este año y esperamos seguir al pie del cañón para la siguiente campaña. Un saludo al resto de productores de cereza y de nuevo muchas gracias por la invitación.